All right, welcome in. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Bearcat Journal. Sponsored, as always, by our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up and save yourself 15% off your order. It was I'm Chad Brendel. He's Aaron Smith. It was a sponsor event, an upfront, as they're called in the business today, Aaron, as Shane and his lovely wife were at the Holy Grail.
Nice.
And also Danco Joe and his family were at the Holy Grail as well.
What, 2 or 3 weeks now that you've seen Shane? And
yeah, running into Shane a lot. He's been around.
Danco getting himself out there. Love it.
Yeah, so it was good to see both of those guys at the Holy Grail today. Let's get to it. Your Wi-Fi situation is not ideal. It's not ideal at your mom's house tonight. So let's get this bad boy moving.
There's like 40 people on the Wi-Fi. I'm doing the best I can. I told everybody to hop off. I got 4 responses. We'll see what happens.
Let's just. I do want to say before we get into grading the 3 keys, breaking down the 3 keys. I think there's got to be some credence given to the wind at this game. If you look, there was only 1 touchdown scored going into the wind all day, and that was Charles McClellan's 1-play, 76-yard touchdown run.
Chunk McClellan, which is apparently taken off a little bit in the Twitter sphere.
I put it out there for you today. I gave you a little.
But you weren't the only one. Justin also at the same time actually hit me and said, "Aaron, I think this is actually happening." he's made fun of me since the beginning that this was not getting any legs.
But the wind was Cincinnati scored multiple touchdowns going into the wind or with the wind. SMU scored all of their points with the wind. Mason Fletcher kicked a 110-yard punt that was only credited at 84 because that's where the end zone was.
Beast.
Yeah. Given that guy a 30, 40 mile an hour wind at his back, should be illegal.
We nicknamed this kid the Rake because of how skinny he was, and he continues to boot the ball unlike anything we've ever seen. Even more so than Jimmy.
He's at worst equal with Jimmy, who was a legend. So yeah. I just think before we get into
sophomore,
the wind was like the 3rd opponent in this game today.
Or second.
Say what you want. Like, be upset, get mad. Tweet at Chad was in full effect today.
Man, you are apparently the mouthpiece of the university.
They've apparently never listened to a press conference where I asked Luke very detailed questions about the things that they're having problems with. Last week, to the point, I was asking him about stopping a running quarterback, and he called me a layman.
If you're not shouting it, apparently it didn't happen, Chad.
Yeah. Fuck out of here. But anyhow, let's get to our 3 keys. Let's get to yours.
All right, number 1, defense must bend, not break.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, look, man, that was one of the best passing offenses in America.
Mm-hmm.
They threw for 179 yards. And they only rushed for 80.
I would have been happy if they kept it under 250. Clearly, they kept it under 250. And I think that's a feather in the cap. Like they didn't change it into rushing yards, right? Like,
yeah,
the defense was stout. Obviously there were some injuries that happened today as Jabari went down, Shep went down. I'm not sure did Shep come back, or was it the JQ show after that?
I don't know for sure.
I don't either. But again, obviously you had some injuries there. Even Ivan had some struggles. I'm pretty sure that was just cramps. He came back. But
yeah, that was cramps. You could tell immediately.
Yeah.
He was pulling at his calf.
But the defense did some things, even with
6 sacks.
14 penalties.
The penalty stuff, some of that stuff.
We'll get to that conversation later.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
But defense, I think, did the job. I think I'm awarded 2 points. Moving on.
You're awarded 2 points.
I don't know. How are we doing this?
I think a point is a point.
Continue thriving in the running game. They did it. Chunk McClelland. We finished with what? 100, almost 200 yards.
Chuck was kind of the 179 yards rushing. The 76-yarder obviously was the big play.
Sure.
I do always get a kick out of people that are like, "Well, take that away." Well,
you can't take that away.
No, you don't take that away.
It was part of it because it opened it up, right?
Right. 179 yards. I think Corey's kind of struggling a little bit right now. He did have a 22-yarder.
I don't know that they're giving him ideal situations either, though. And that's...
Yeah, I mean, can you tell me what the blocking schemes are? Like, I don't. Is he hitting the right gap? Like, I don't know. I don't have those answers.
Well, I also don't like bouncing it to the outside on a 3rd and long instead of like when you're going off tackle instead of right up the gut. That's some things we can talk about.
Everybody wants, but that gets into the. We need variety in the running game. Don't run it up the middle, and then they do something that's not up the middle, and everybody's not that. Right? Like
I'm a little guilty of that. Maybe not on Twitter, but in my either private group chats or out loud while I'm watching the game. I get it.
Do something different. They do
not
something
that.
Different. No. Not that. I meant the other different thing.
Why is Gino the OC? Why would it happen to? I saw plenty of that today. That, in all fairness, that is not me. I'm not one to question the OC as far as why is this
every
person
snap.
missing. But in any case, they thrived in the running game. I think we can fairly say that.
I wouldn't say it was great, but I would say it was acceptable. It was adequate, especially in a game where you're dealing with 30, 40 mile an hour winds that were clearly impacting both teams' ability to pass.
I think if you end up with almost 200 yards and 4.3 per on 42 carries, it's a decent day.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Play clean for a second straight game. Jesus Christ, they did the opposite of that. Most penalties they've been awarded this entire season.
The one
third down under 50% offensively.
Well,
defensively they did their job.
The under 50% offensively is a little misleading. They were 10 of 22. If you have 22 third down snaps, the problem is first and second down.
Well, clearly. Because you're running 22 third downs.
Right. If you get to third down 22 times, you are not doing good enough on first and second down. So
what a weird game this was.
Would I have liked them to get one more third down conversion to go 11 of 22 for the magical 50%? Sure. Don't put yourself in a position
to run 22 third downs.
That.
It's just a weird game. The whole game was weird.
And the 15-yarders defensively, like the one on Ivan for tapping Ashy Rice in the back of the helmet. Come on. But then
I will say, I know I brought this up when we were conversing about my 3 key points. If Cincinnati doesn't possess the ball for 36-46 and gives up even 5 minutes of that possession, I think we're talking about a different score, not in Cincinnati's favor.
Okay, sure.
I'm
going to award myself this
I'm just saying.
There's no way you can prove me wrong.
Well, I'm not trying to award myself any points or anything. I'm just saying it was clearly important that Cincinnati possessed the ball a majority of the game. I brought that up. I just want to say it was a good point. It was a good point.
I don't believe that to necessarily be true.
Well, I do.
Okay.
I made that point. Dying on that hill. Thanks, Bourbon Slush, all day.
Yeah, you can die on that hill. That's fine. All right. Make sure I picked the right one here. I have a. Oh, not that one. That one. All right. 3 and out. Ooh. Daddy was good on this one, Aaron. Daddy was good on this one.
2 of 15.
They were 2 of 15 on third down. Drive chart. Let's have fun here.
I want to pause. Not so good on fourth down.
Yeah, 4 or 5 on fourth down. Almost.
Whew.
It doesn't eliminate the good on third down, but it puts a dent in it. SMU drive chart. First drive, 6 plays, 24 yards. Not great, but successful for a defense.
Yeah.
Second drive, 3 plays, minus 2 yards. Third drive, 3 plays, minus 1 yard. Fourth drive, 4 plays, 19 yards. Fifth drive, 4 plays, 0 yards. Sixth drive, 4 plays, 11 yards. And then you get the 2-play touchdown drive, which I'm sure we'll talk a ton about. And you'll hear Dave.
Are we in the third quarter yet?
No, that was this. We're just now to the point where the turnover on downs at the end of the first half, and then they go 2 plays, 46 yards, they get a touchdown, and then 13 plays, 77 yards to end the half. Second half.
Third quarter, they were negative 13 yards until like 2 minutes left.
And the first quarter, what? 22, 21, 40, 0. They have 40 yards in the first quarter and 19 yards in the third quarter. You know why? 1, because Cincinnati's defense was playing well. 2, they were into the wind. I'm telling you,
man,
when you look at what each team did.
I did not put that together.
When you look at what each team did into the wind, it tells a lot of the tale of this game. I'm really interested to hear, talking to the guys on Tuesday.
Sure.
What they felt, how much they felt was a factor. Be explosive. You had obviously the 76-yard touchdown run by Chuck. There were really only 2 other explosive plays in the passing game. The completion to Jaden Thompson for 35.
Who was a beast today.
He's taking advantage of an opportunity right now.
Sure.
And then Nick Mardner had a 34-yarder, I think. They dropped too many passes today. There were 5, 6. I'm interested.
Trey Tucker had his worst day as a Bearcat ever today.
Well, think about this, Aaron. No Tyler Scott, and Trey Tucker had a terrible day.
And that argument could also be made for, not terrible, but Mardner had a tale of 2 cities.
Some big plays, some bad plays.
You also had Josh Wiley doing some weird things.
He still was solid.
Sure, but there was also some big drops. It was a weird day. The whole day was weird.
Yeah.
Everything about today was weird. Ben having a fantastic day, but going 50%. None of this makes sense.
Yeah, but Ben should have, there were 6 drops. Ben should have been at 65%.
None of this makes sense. It was a weird day. No more SMU. This is the end.
We get to check those boxes off many, many happy times as we go through this season. And then throw a party. 6 sacks. They threw a party in the backfield.
And a pick. It should have been 2 picks. I didn't like the PI call. It was a weird.
The PI call was bullshit.
Weird
Utter
PI.
bullshit.
A hand on the back. We're calling a hand on the back now PI. It didn't make sense.
He didn't push him. He didn't extend his arm.
No, it was weird. He made a play on the ball.
Yeah. A ball that was thrown behind the receiver to Javon Hicks. Yeah. If he didn't put his hand out, he would have run him over.
Call. Weird PI call.
But anyhow.
Not to say that Cincinnati wasn't the benefit of some calls, especially early on.
Sure.
Some things that should have been reviewed.
Well, I mean, SMU didn't have a penalty until after halftime.
There is that.
Again, they played 3 conference games. In 2 of those conference games, the opponent has not had a penalty until after halftime.
I like the there was at one point a call that went against a defender. I can't remember at what point it was. I think it was in the second half, but I believe there was a holding call on the same call, and the guy got called for. It was the call where it was the legal hands to the face on Huber, was it? I believe. And sure, it was a legal hands to the face, but he was also being held. He was also being held at the same time. Like,
yeah,
what are we doing?
They weren't as explosive as they needed to be, but they were explosive enough, I guess.
They were chippy as shit, and it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like.
Ivan Pace potentially should have been thrown out of this game after his second personal foul. How he wasn't called on his third personal foul is still beyond me after removing the entire helmet off a kid 4 or 5 yards out of bounds.
It wasn't as bad as like seeing the helmet.
That was 3. You're eligible to be removed after 2.
Not personal fouls, unsportsmanlike conduct. He didn't have multiple unsportsmanlike conduct. So those are different. There's distinctions.
You can still be removed from a game. I did look it up. I looked it up in the middle of the game.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
But you are eligible to be removed. It is up to the referee. You are eligible to be removed after 2 personal fouls.
Well, they knew the one was bullshit. All he did was tap Ashley Rice on the back of the helmet.
Look, I am not here to make that argument one way or the other. I'm just saying if he had been called for the personal foul, he probably should have been removed from the game, as that would have been a third personal foul. The thing is, I think
he's a little too handsy.
He gets that way, and I don't.
He wants to help guys up. Like it's like that. Just puts you. Just walk away. For me, just walk away.
I think that's part of his game, and I think that's part of who he is, and I think it's all mind games. And I don't think it's an accident that he's handsy and that we're starting to see what he's doing.
Well, opponents now are,
I don't know how to feel about it.
Defender in the country.
I think the referees are starting to see some of the things that he's doing. It's not benefiting him.
I think it's cheap, but whatever. All right, there we go. Get back to your party.
Cool. I'm gonna throw a party.
For what?
I don't know. Cake. It's my mom and her husband's fake wedding reception.
Yeah.
It's what we're doing here.
You go have fun. We'll see you tomorrow. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.